Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. Death toll in Lebanon's pager blasts rises to 9. Thousands injured as hundreds of pagers used by Hezbollah members exploded on Tuesday. Hezbollah blames Israel. No comment from Tel Aviv. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to visit Egypt as urgency to achieve a ceasefire deal in Gaza takes prominence. Lufthansa and Air France suspend flights to Tel Aviv, Tehran and Beirut as tensions in the region soar. All eyes on Jammu and Kashmir as 24 assembly constituencies go to polls in the first phase today. Assembly elections in the region are the first since abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit the US to attend the annual Quad Summit, also to address the Summit of the Future at the UN General Assembly. In sports, in the 7th round of the chess Olympiad, India's men's team faced China, while the women's team will take on Georgia. After 6 consecutive wins, India is eyeing its first ever gold medal in the tournament. The death toll from pager explosions in Lebanon rise to 9 on Wednesday. Hundreds of pagers used by Hezbollah members exploded across Lebanon on Tuesday, killing at least 9 people. Iran's ambassador to Lebanon was among 2,800 other people who were wounded by the simultaneous blasts. The pagers exploded in southern Lebanon, the southern suburbs of Beirut known as Dahieh, and the eastern Bekaa Valley, all Hezbollah strongholds. The group blamed Israel for what it called this criminal aggression and vowed that it would just get the retribution. There was no immediate comment from the Israeli military on the wave of explosions which came just hours after Israel announced it was broadening the aims of war sparked by Hamas's October 7th attacks to include its fight against Hezbollah along its border with Lebanon. Meanwhile, security camera footage posted on social media appeared to show the blast and a man falling to the floor in an indoor vegetable market in Beirut in Lebanon. Major airlines Lufthansa and Air France have suspended flights to Tel Aviv, Tehran and Beirut until Thursday following the explosions in Lebanon. Lufthansa announced the suspension of all flights to Israel and Iran as well as bypassing their airspace. Also, in a statement, Lufthansa said that this applies to all flights up to September 19th. Lufthansa last week already extended its suspension of flights to Beirut until October 15th. The airline is closely monitoring the situation. Similarly, Air France has halted flights to Tel Aviv and Beirut, citing security concerns and emphasized that passenger and crew safety remains their top priority. The French company in a statement said that due to the security situation at the destinations, Air France has also suspended its connections from Paris, Charles de Gaulle and Beirut and Tel Aviv until September 19th. Also, both airlines are evaluating conditions in West Asia on a daily basis amid rising tensions between Israel and Hezbollah. Hospitals in Lebanon are coping with the aftermath of the pager blasts as casualties and those injured begin to rise. At one hospital in Beirut's southern suburbs, people were treated in a car park on thin mattresses with medical gloves on the ground and ambulance stretchers covered in blood. Meanwhile, the Pentagon has denied any U.S. involvement in the pager blasts in Lebanon. The denial by U.S. comes as Washington once again called for a diplomatic solution to tensions between Israel and Lebanon.
I can tell you, to my knowledge, there's no U.S. involvement in this at all. Again, it's something that we're monitoring. And in terms of potential escalation, I go back to what I said earlier in terms of a key focus for this department and the U.S. government writ large is on working with partners in the region, to include Israel, to prevent the conflict between Israel and Hamas from spiraling into a wider conflict. And that includes the tensions along the Israel-Lebanon border.
The U.S. favors a diplomatic solution to the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hezbollah.
You know, when we think about the conflict along the blue line between Israel and Hezbollah, it has gone on for way too long, long enough, and so it is in everyone's interest to resolve it quickly and diplomatically. So we continue to believe that there should be a diplomatic resolution to this, and so I will leave it there. And well, actually, I'll add. This is why the ceasefire negotiation is so important. This is why the hostage deal is so important. This is why the president and his administration has been working around the clock, 24 hours to get that done. We believe the deal would help reduce tensions along the blue line, and that is one of the reasons, we believe diplomatic, obviously, efforts are critical and important at this time.
Israeli military has said that senior commanders, including Chief of Staff General Herzi Halevi, have held a situational review with focus on preparedness in both offense and defense in all the spheres without giving details. There has been no change in the instructions given to the civilians. However, the public has been told to be alert and vigilant, and any change in policy will be immediately put in place. However, the Israeli military refused to comment on the questions about the detonations. Sarit Zehavi, the founder of Israeli security think tank Alma, emphasized on the unprecedented nature of a recent operation targeting Hezbollah. She noted that it effectively neutralized around 3,000 potential operatives capable of launching attacks on Israel. Zehavi highlighted the remarkable intelligence capabilities demonstrated by this operation and pointed out that its greatest impact lies in the psychological confusion it created within Hezbollah, showcasing a new strategic approach.
It is definitely an intelligence infiltration that is overwhelming capability. But I think the greatest achievement here is the confusion that it created among Hezbollah, the psychological damage among Hezbollah, and the fact that somebody can cause that much of a damage without even invading into Lebanon.
The pagers used by Hezbollah members that simultaneously exploded came from Taiwan, as per a news report of the New York Times, with explosives packed in some time before they arrived in Lebanon. The newspaper further reported that the pagers had been ordered from Taiwanese manufacturer Gold Apollo, citing anonymous American and other officials. All right, our correspondent Amit Mukherjee is joining us with more. Amit, good morning. Now help us understand, on one hand, we have no comment coming in from Israel with regard to the pager attacks in Lebanon. At the same time, there are doubts of Israel's involvement. Added to that, U.S. has also shunned away from any involvement in this incident. Get us more. What more are you picking up?
Well, Preeti, at the outset, let me just tell you whether anybody has claimed responsibility for this or not. But this definitely has sent shockwaves amongst the Hezbollah cadres as well as in Lebanon, and it was indeed an unprecedented strike. You know, for the first time, this kind of a strike has happened, and it has been, in terms of both nature and scale, this is quite unprecedented, which actually targeted 300 people, mostly Hezbollah operatives, in a very, very homogeneous sort of a, population where, these operatives were all mixed up in the civilian population, and it has been, they have been targeted very specifically. And if you look at it, 9 people so far have been killed, out of which 8 are basically Hezbollah operatives. So definitely this has been it's an overwhelming operation. And if you just put things into context, the Hezbollah has been launching severe strikes in the northern part of Israel, and it was the Israel's prime objective to bring this to an halt. In fact, to kind of evacuate all the residents of Israel who were actually stuck in the northern part of Israel. They had to be evacuated, and by virtue of this operation, it seems that they have been able to make major dent in the Hezbollah planning, and following which those 50,000, nearly 50,000 Israelis have been evacuated from the northern part of Israel. Now, looking at the other aspects of it, the damage has been quite severe, I would say. Preeti?
All right, Amit, also help us understand how grave is the situation right now, because it is not just between Gaza and Israel now, and also we've seen how major airlines have cancelled their flight operations in Tel Aviv, Beirut, and Tehran. Help us understand, what consequences could this have with regard to the conflict that is already raging in the region?
Right. Rightly pointed out, in fact, situations have been very, very volatile even before this attack. And, this might have a cascading effect, because this target was not just kind of focused in Lebanon, where the Hezbollah operatives are there in large number, but in the neighboring Syria also, about 14 to 18 Hezbollah operatives have been targeted as well. Hezbollah have been operating with the alongside with the Syrian government in the civil war. So if the Hezbollah operatives in Syria has also been kind of targeted in this. And apart from that, the Iranian ambassador to Lebanon, Mujtaba Amani, has also been targeted. Although he's out of danger and he's recovering well, but he has also been included in one of the pager attacks. Nearly about 1,000 pagers actually went off simultaneously between 3:45 p.m. local time of Lebanon, which is about 12:45 GMT, and it went on for half an hour. More than 300 people, 3,000 people were actually injured in this attack. So, considering the fact that it has spilled beyond Lebanon and it has Iranian angle to it as well as Syrian angle to it, so the scope of this, the outfall of would be beyond Lebanon, and in fact, things have already been volatile in this region. If you talk about the Middle East region. And it has got a fair chance to escalate further. Preeti?
All right, Amit, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. All right, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken hopes to advance efforts to achieve a ceasefire deal in Gaza, as well as strengthen bilateral ties with Cairo during his meeting with Egyptian leadership on Wednesday. The top U.S. diplomat's visit comes as the region remains on high alert due to risk of Gaza war expanding, particularly after terrorist group Hezbollah promised to retaliate against Israel, accusing it of detonating pagers across Lebanon on Tuesday. Egypt, alongside Qatar, has been a vital intermediary in U.S.-led diplomacy to end the conflict, shuttling proposals and the counter-proposals between Hamas and Israel. Washington has also leaned on Cairo in its efforts to increase the flow of humanitarian aid to Gaza. Presidential election campaigning revved back up on Tuesday, with Donald Trump heading to Michigan days after the second attempt on his life in 2 months. Supporters from all over mid-Michigan lined up at Dort Financial Center to see former President Donald Trump in Flint. Outside the rally, some Trump supporters said that safety was on their minds. The event was the former president's first visit to Flint since he was elected president. Meanwhile, the White House said that Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance's recent comments on the assassination attempt on his running mate Donald Trump were dangerous because people look up to him. Vance said during a speech in Atlanta on Monday that Democrats have gone too far in saying re-electing Trump threatens democracy. Democratic nominee Kamala Harris said that hostage deal and ceasefire should take precedence before finding a permanent two-state solution to the Israel-Palestine issue. In the run-up to the November 5th presidential elections, she also made a slew of announcements to woo the voters belonging to the colored communities on Tuesday. The U.S. Vice President was interacting with the journalists in Philadelphia forum organized by the National Association of Black Journalists. Replying to a question regarding solution to the present stalemate in Israel-Hamas war, Harris stressed for release of hostages and ceasefire between the two parties immediately that could be precursor to further movement of finding a permanent two-state solution.
I support Israel's ability to defend itself, and I support the need for Palestinians to have dignity, self-determination, and security as we move forward and get a state deal done, but right now the thing we need to get done is this hostage deal and this ceasefire deal. We need a ceasefire, we need the hostage deal.
Underlining that house should be easily available to the needy, the Democratic presidential candidate also made a slew of announcements that may influence the black and other young voters who are finding it difficult to own a house. She promised to give enough subsidy to make housing easy for all.
I'm going to employ and engage the private sector, in particular home builders with tax credits, to give them the incentive to create new housing, 3 million by the end of my first term, and understanding that not everybody is, handed a silver spoon, but works hard and is trying to save up for a down payment. Part of my plan under my opportunity economy is to give first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance.
The U.S. Senate on Tuesday failed for a second time to advance in an in vitro fertilization protection bill as Republicans voted against it days after Donald Trump surprised supporters by voicing support for such a policy. The bill failed 51-44, falling short of the required 60-vote threshold after most Republicans voted against it for the second time. Democrats controlled the chamber by a slim 59-49 margin. The legislation was first blocked 3 months ago by Senate Republicans after they argued the bill was too broad. The bill would establish broad protections and nationwide rights for individuals to access in vitro fertilization, that is IVF, and expand insurance coverage for fertility treatments. Republican presidential candidate Trump said in August that he would require the government or insurance companies to pay for IVF if he is elected. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, North Korea fires missiles off East Coast in the latest show of force after Kim visited the uranium facility. Ahead of the upcoming Sri Lankan presidential election, campaigning for elections reaches a feverish pitch. UN fact-finding team issues call for submissions of first-hand information from public on human rights violation in Bangladesh.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs has been denied bail after pleading not guilty in a sex trafficking case. A federal judge has denied Sean Combs' efforts to be free until his trial on sex trafficking and other charges. Judge remanded the musician in custody after prosecutors argued that Combs is a danger to the public and especially potential witness in the detailed case against him. Combs was arrested on Monday evening, accused of running a criminal enterprise from at least 2008 that relied on drugs and sex trafficking by force. If convicted on all counts, Combs faces a sentence of 15 years up to life in prison. North Korea fired a missile off its east coast on Wednesday, days after North Korea unveiled a uranium enrichment facility and vowed to beef up its nuclear arsenal. Japan's defense ministry said that the North appears to have used a ballistic missile, and Japan's Coast Guard said the missile was believed to have already landed in sea and urged vessels to watch out for falling objects. The South Korean military also confirmed the firing of multiple short-range ballistic missiles. It did not provide further details, including the exact number of missiles launched. The latest launch also came days after the country for the first time showed images of centrifuges that produce fuel for its nuclear bombs, as leader Kim Jong-un visited a uranium enrichment facility and called for more weapons-grade material to boost the arsenal. Russian forces have captured the eastern Ukrainian town of Ukrainsk in Donetsk on Tuesday, continuing their westward push in a bid to control the entire Donbas region. The General Staff of Ukraine's military reported 34 assaults had been recorded near the town of Pokrovsk. Russian forces had encircled Ukrainsk earlier this month as they advanced towards Pokrovsk, part of what President Putin says is a primary goal to take all of the Donbass region. The capture follows Russia's fastest monthly advance in 2 years, while Ukraine countered with a surprise incursion into Russia's Kursk region. Tensions at the border remain high, with Russia announcing it has repelled 5 more Ukrainian attempts to breach its border at Kursk, bringing the number of attacks to 26 in just 6 days. The battle for control intensifies on multiple fronts. Russian activist Vladimir Kara-Murza, recently freed from a Siberian prison in a high-profile prisoner swap, addressed U.S. lawmakers and diplomats. After serving part of a 25-year sentence for treason, Kara-Murza was released following a relentless campaign by U.S. lawmakers who condemned his arrest for speaking out against Russia. Kara-Murza said that the word surreal does not even come close to describing what he feels now. His release coincides with Senator Ben Cardin's introduction of the Bridge Act, aimed at protecting Russian and Belarusian dissidents by funding independent media and civil society efforts. The fight for democracy, it seems, continues on multiple fronts. Top Russian security official Sergei Shoigu met President Masoud Pezeshkian in Tehran following his recent meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Shoigu also held talks with his Iranian counterpart Ali Akbar Ahmadian during his visit. Shoigu's trips are taking place at a crucial moment in the 2.5-year conflict as Kyiv presses the US and its allies to let it use Western-supplied long-range weapons. The US views the growing relationship with concern and says that both countries are supplying Russia with ballistic missiles for use in the conflict, something Moscow denies. Apart from meeting North Korea's Kim last week, he also held talks in St. Petersburg with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Campaigning for Sri Lanka's presidential election has gained momentum, with candidates making their final push to attract the voters. The top contenders have been conducting meetings and rallies in various locations, tackling a variety of issues. As the incumbent president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, seeks re-election as an independent, he is challenged by opposition leader Sajith Premadasa from SJB and Anura Kumara Dissanayake from the leftist National People's Power Alliance. Dr. Ahmed Moin Faruqi joins us from Colombo. Ahmed, good morning. Get us the latest on electioneering in Sri Lanka as the voting will happen on Saturday. Get us more as to how is the political fever, reaching the crescendo there in Sri Lanka.
Priti, good morning and good morning to all our viewers from Colombo here. You see, today is the last day of the campaigning before Sri Lanka enters into the silence period. There's going to be a 72-hour silence period before the elections are held on 21st, that is the Saturday of this week. Currently speaking, all the front-runner candidates are going to be holding their election meetings and rallies in Colombo today. And in view of this, the police has issued special arrangements and traffic diversions have been made so as not to cause any discomfort to the other people who would be going about their daily life. At the same time, the Election Commission has said that anybody who would be, campaigning during the silence period would be considered as someone who is violating the election laws, and due action will be taken against that person. Election Commission has also said that the ballot boxes have been dispatched to the returning officers of 13,400 plus polling stations across the island, Preeti. Meanwhile, the campaigning is going on at a crescendo. All the front runners have been trying to woo the voters. They had been till yesterday. They had been campaigning at various parts in the island. They were talking about various policy measures that they would bring out once their government is declared victorious. And they are also talking about various other social issues which plague the island and which are the key issues in the elections. But for today, it appears like this is going to be the last chance for the front runners to make a push to woo the voters. Preeti.
All right. Also, Ahmed, help us get a quick glimpse into the political contest in Sri Lanka. Get us more on the political contenders there. How tight is the political race?
Preeti, to begin with, I should say that this election is going to be a very close fight as per what I have seen so far and what many other experts in Sri Lanka have been saying. That said, I should also say that, you see, in 2022, Sri Lanka went through the worst of its economic crisis ever since it got free in 1948. That was a time when there was an acute forex crisis, which then later on translated into a short supply of essentials like rice, other food grains, the fertilizers, medicines, and fuel. We had seen serpentine huge queues before the petrol sheds. That was a time when India had come in with a huge assistance of $4.5 billion as a humanitarian assistance at that point of time. Thereafter, from then to now, this is going to be the first election after that. The Aragalia protest had culminated with resigning and ousting of the then President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who belonged to SLPP. Gotabaya Rajapaksa had won 2019 election on a nationalist flank with a very high populist kind of promise of reducing income tax and various other taxes, including the indirect taxes. But thereafter, once the island had seen the kind of economic crisis, now the entire political arena is open as of now, with all the other parties trying to woo the voters in coming forward with how they would help Sri Lanka recover from the economic crisis. Economic crisis is, for now, it has been stabilized, but Sri Lanka is not yet out of the woods, Preeti. So that is one of the major political issues, the election issues that we are going to see in this election. And on 21st, the polling will happen, and thereafter counting will happen on the same day, with a possibility that any of the candidates getting 50% of the vote, there will be a winner who will emerge. But in the eventuality, none of them gets 50%, then the second round of counting will happen among the top two contenders. Thereafter, the maximum votes who gets, that person would be declared as the winner. Preeti.
All right, Ahmed, we leave it here. Thank you so much for joining in with those details. And the fact-finding team of the UN Human Rights Office has invited individuals, groups and organizations to give first-hand information of human rights violations and abuses committed in Bangladesh between 1st July and 15th of August. The fact-finding team is mandated to establish facts, identify responsibilities, analyze root causes and make concrete recommendations for Bangladesh to address past human rights violations and prevent their recurrence. The first-hand information is not already on social media or otherwise in the public domain and can be submitted to submissions@un.org. The team also plans to conduct interviews with victims, law enforcement officers, medical practitioners and witnesses. All right, DD India correspondent from DD India correspondent is joining us to get us more. Naval Singh Parmar is joining us. Naval Singh, good morning. Now we know that this fact-finding is not a criminal investigation. Help us understand the significance of this development. And we also know that this fact-finding is conducted independent of the national criminal justice process. Put all this together, help us understand the significance of this development.
Yes, good morning, Pradeep. This team will be in Bangladesh for a month, and during this time they will interview and acquire the information from the individuals, groups and organizations or political parties whoever want to submit their testimonials or the first-hand information which is not in public domain to the fact-finding team. And there are many groups, once they came to know that this kind of fact-finding team is coming to Bangladesh, so they have given their representation. They wrote the letter to the team and they sought time and appointment for the meeting. And among them, there are Bangabandhu groups and some minority groups have also sought a time and they will also meet and submit their testimonials. So based on this information, according to the press release of Human Rights Office, that they will publish a report and they will submit their report to the authorities, and the responsibility will be established, and they will submit the recommendation how to stop this kind of atrocity in future and what possible people. So this kind of things will prevent further this kind of atrocities or human rights violation in the Bangladesh.
All right, Naval Singh, thank you so much for joining in with those details. An Al-Qaeda-linked terrorist group on Tuesday claimed responsibility for a deadly attack in Mali's capital, Bamako. The country's general staff later said that the attack killed a number of military personnel but did not give a detailed toll. It confirmed that a gendarmes training center and the city's airport were targeted. The authorities also said that the cowardly and treacherous attack caused some loss of human lives and added that the attack had been repelled and the situation was rapidly brought under control. Zimbabwe plans to cull 200 elephants for the first time since 1987, aiming to provide food for drought-stricken communities, wildlife authorities announced on Tuesday. Southern Africa is experiencing its worst drought in 40 years, with 68 million people facing hunger as crops fail across the region. The elephant meat will be distributed in areas hardest hit by El Nino-induced drought. This follows Namibia's recent decision to cull 83 elephants to support its own drought-affected communities. The region, home to one of the largest elephant populations globally, with over 200,000 elephants spread across Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, Angola and Namibia, is struggling to balance conservation with the immediate needs of its people. And now we take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. A march led by former Bolivian President Evo Morales escalated into clashes after a group of opponents attempted to block the road in the capital. Morales launched the march to protest against President Luis Arce's government, citing economic stagnation as the main grievance. Morales announced a week-long march after Arce accused him on national television of trying to overthrow his government in a coup attempt. SpaceX successfully launched its Falcon 9 rocket, carrying the European Commission's Galileo L-13 mission from Space Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. This marks the 22nd flight of this Falcon 9 first stage booster. The Galileo satellite, part of the mission, are managed and operated by European Union Agency for the Space Programme on behalf of the EU. A short break ahead on DD India News Hour, but after the break, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will launch the NPS Vatsalya Yojana in New Delhi to provide strong financial foundation to all children of the country. Doctors to continue cease work over RG car incident, want fresh talks with state government. Lord Ganesh given a heartfelt farewell as the 10-day Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations culminate. Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. A quick relook at the top stories now. Death toll in Lebanon's pager blasts rises to 9. Thousands injured as hundreds of pagers used by Hezbollah members exploded on Tuesday. Hezbollah blames Israel. No comment from Tel Aviv. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to visit Egypt as urgency to achieve a ceasefire deal in Gaza takes prominence. Lufthansa and Air France suspend flights to Tel Aviv, Tehran and Beirut as tensions in the region rise. All eyes on Jammu and Kashmir as 24 assembly constituencies go to polls in the first phase today. Assembly elections in the region are the first since abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit the US to attend the annual Quad Summit, also to address the Summit of the Future at the UN General Assembly. In sports, in the 7th round of the chess Olympiad, the Indian men's team faced China, while the women's team will take on Georgia. After 6 consecutive wins, India is eyeing its first ever gold medal in the tournament. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting the United States of America from September 21st to 23rd. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will take part in the 4th Quad Leaders Summit in Washington, Delaware. In fact, in Wilmington, Delaware, which is being hosted by the US President Joe Biden on September 21st. At the Quad Summit, the leaders will review the progress achieved by the Quad over the last 1 year and set the agenda for the year ahead to assist the countries of the Indo-Pacific region in meeting their development goals and aspirations. Prime Minister Modi will address the Summit of the Future at the UNGA in New York on September 23rd. The theme of the summit is Multilateral Solutions for a Better Tomorrow. A large number of global leaders are expected to participate in the summit. Also on the sidelines of the summit, Prime Minister would be holding bilateral meetings with several world leaders and discuss issues of mutual interest. Voting for the first phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir is underway. Voting began at 7 a.m. and will continue till 6 p.m. as per the IST. This is the first election in the Union Territory after the abrogation of Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. More than 23 lakh voters are eligible to press the EVM button, determining the fate of 219 candidates spread across 7 districts. 24 of its total 90 constituencies are going to hustings in round 1 of 3-phase assembly elections. All SOPs of Election Commission are being followed in the Union Territory. Arrangements have been made for webcasting at every polling station and cameras have been installed to monitor polling. This will be done from the control room. The assembly polls in Jammu and Kashmir are being held in 3 phases. The second phase will be held on September 25th and the third on October 1st. Votes will be counted on October 8th. All right, Shabir Dar is joining us from Kulgam and Tahir Nadeem Khan is joining us from Bhaderwa in Jammu. Shabir Dar, first I will come across to you. An important day for the Union Territory there. You're there in Kulgam. It is too early to talk about the voter turnout, but then what are you witnessing at the polling booths? How has been the turnout? Are people coming out to exercise their franchise?
Yes, absolutely. There are long queues outside polling booths, which is unprecedented because I have covered many elections in Kashmir, and this election is unprecedented because I have seen from the very start go, people have been queuing outside polling booths, particularly the youth and elderly both, because huge enthusiasm is there among people. This election is happening after a gap of 10 years, and this is the first election, first assembly election after the abrogation of Article 370, and the enthusiasm and the hope in people is unprecedented. I have traveled to many polling booths since morning. The youth are very upbeat. The youth are very, hopeful and enthusiastic to make use of their franchise. I have talked to some first-time voters in the morning, and they are actually have come out to cast their vote for development and peace. They are recognizing the fact that a lot has happened in Jammu and Kashmir in past few years, and they want the next government to carry forward the path of progress and development on which the Jammu and Kashmir has marched on. Yes.
In Bhaderwa, Tahir, you tell us, how has the morning begun in Bhaderwa? Shabir tells us from Kulgam that a number of voters have turned out and the morning has begun on a good note there in Kulgam. You're there in Bhaderwa. Let us get more from you as to how has been the voter turnout.
Well, Preeti, in Bhaderwa, which is the largest constituency in all the 24 constituencies which are going to vote today, because in terms of voter, 125,000 voters are going to exercise their franchise. They are eligible voters. And the enthusiasm and the votes are upbeat. Especially, we visited Pink polling station that has been established at 45 of Gata and Bhaderwa. Voters were in large since early morning. Although the weather is a little colder here in this part of the Jammu and Kashmir, but still, they were queuing in lines, and when I talked to the first voter who casted her vote, Anjana Sharma, at 7:05 a.m. in the morning, she was so happy. She said that first time she is seeing this kind of atmosphere here at the polling station. The way she was welcomed, she was garlanded, flowers were to her for being the first female voter to cast her at the station. And later, an elderly person, 96-year-old, Pandit Shanti Prakash, who also casted, who They refused to go for home voting and said that I will prefer to go to the polling station. He also casted the vote there at 45 Gatha and was so enthusiastic. He appealed all the voters to and cast their vote as soon as possible. This shows the enthusiasm of the people of each and every section of the society. The voters are standing in queues. That is wonderful. And the arrangements are well in place, as you said. There were 196 polling stations are there. And at least 6 polling stations are located at a height of 11,000 up sea level. That include Hatkai B, Kota Top, Kaljugasar, Singni. Those polling stations are there in the place. The reports coming from there said voters in those areas as well, which is mainly inhabited in tribals, are coming in large numbers to vote for the first time. Because at this point of tribals remain in high altitude meadows with their cattle. Due to the Election Commission of India's sweep program, they have been educated, they have been let know that the importance of their vote. So they have all the way from high altitude meadows to their respective polling stations in their respective villages. So enthusiasm is very high, and this time, as is predicted, the polling percentage is going to be break all the previous records.
All right, so the polling is expected to break all the previous records. Thank you both of you for joining us and getting us the update on how polling has begun in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. All right, we'll keep our viewers posted through the day. Meanwhile, let's turn focus to other updates. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman is going to launch the NPS Vatsalya scheme in New Delhi on Wednesday. The NPS Vatsalya is a financial investment that parents or guardians can make on behalf of their minor children with minimum contribution of 1,000 rupees per year and no limit on a maximum contribution. It will serve as a meaningful way to provide them with financial support until they start earning and investing on their own. NPS Vatsalya events will be organized simultaneously at nearly 75 locations throughout the country. This scheme was announced in the Union Budget 2024-25. Germany is one of the partner countries at the 4th Global Reinvest Renewable Energy Investors Meet and Expo underway at Gandhinagar in Gujarat. German Ambassador to India, Philip Ackermann, spoke to DD India on the interaction at the Expo and also the launch of the Indo-German platform for investments in renewable energy worldwide and the expected upcoming visit of German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to India. Let's listen in.
We're here at RE Invest and we're joined in by the Ambassador of Germany to India, Philip Ackermann. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to DD India. We are here at the Reinvest Summit. We're talking about renewables, and we've just seen yesterday that a platform was launched wherein renewables are going to be discussed and a platform for investment in renewables. What do you have to say about this new initiative?
So the platform you were referring to, which is a platform that links Indian and German private sector, shares knowledge on investment in India but also outside India, is a very innovative forum, and I hear the first MOU has been signed already. So I think what we try to develop is bringing both sectors together, sitting down and trying to find out where and how to do it best. India will be a main partner for our renewables strategy in the world, and this is basically the proof how committed we are.
So when we are talking about the renewable sector, India and Germany have had companies in both the Indian companies in Germany or German companies in India who have investments in the renewable sector. Do you meet people here at the pavilion, or do you see what kind of interest here?
I do, and I see solid interest, concrete interest. So you might know that there is a tender out from the state of Gujarat on offshore wind. I hear the first German companies have shown in-depth interest and might be going for bidding for this tender.
We also saw the metro project, and Germany also has say in it. It has for the electrification specifically. How do you see that partnership ahead?
So the Smart Cities initiative is part of our GSCP, the Partnership for Green and Sustainable Development. We, our KfW, our bank, is supporting big time Ahmedabad metro development. We do the same in Bangalore. We did it in Delhi also to a certain extent.
The most awaited visit of the German Chancellor just coming up next month. What are the preparations?
This is a visit in the framework of our biennial intergovernmental consultation. So German Chancellor will come with a lot of ministers actually and sit down with the Indian side. It won't be a very formal visit, it's a working visit. There is an agenda on the table, there is a roadmap to be drafted for the years to come. Something must unfold in the next 2 years to bring the two countries much closer together, and this renewables factor will be high on.
So here we had the German ambassador to India speak to us on the Reinvest Summit, the investors meet. With camera person Lakshman Apur, this is Meghna Dev for DD India from Gandhinagar, Gujarat.
The protesting doctors at Kolkata's RG Kar Medical College and Hospital, where a trainee doctor was raped and killed, announced that they will continue their strike until their demands are met, including the removal of the health secretary. The agitating medicos also sought fresh talks with the government a day after holding meetings with Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. The doctors made the announcement after a 5-hour-long governing body meeting held late on Monday. Seeking a new round of talks, the doctors on Tuesday said that the government should provide them with a democratic environment and also listed fresh demands. Meanwhile, a local court in West Bengal has approved the CBI appeal for extending the police custody of former RG Kar Medical College principal Dr. Sandeep Ghosh and Tala police station officer in charge Abhijit Mondal by 3 days. Now, during the hearing on Tuesday, the CBI lawyer stated that Ghosh and Mondal are subjected to further investigation regarding the call recording, DVR, CCTV and other data released to the case, in fact related to the case, and the custodial interrogation was required in this case. The two were arrested by CBI on Saturday in connection with the accusations of tampering with evidence, misleading the investigation and delaying the FIR. They were initially produced before the judge on Sunday and remanded in CBI custody for 3 days. On Tuesday, the judge extended their CBI custody by 3 more days. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India now. The Indian Army unveiled Himdrone Throne 2 to revolutionize high-altitude operations through the use of drones. Now, this pioneer initiative aims to tap into the power of cutting-edge indigenous technology, focusing on enhancing operational efficiency and tactical superiority in some of the most challenging terrains on the planet through the use of drones within the ambit of Atmanirbhar Bharat. On the auspicious occasion of Anant Chaturdashi, the Indore city witnessed the 101st year of the tableau tradition. Thousands witnessed stunning tableau featuring various mythological stories crafted by the textile mill workers, continuing the city's cherished heritage. As part of the Onam celebrations, young dancer Marina Antony brought Ganga to the stage at the Regional Theatre of Kerala Sangeet Natak Academy. Ganga was presented in a classical Bharatnatyam style with simplified gestures and expressions. This approach allowed even those unfamiliar with the intricacies of classical dance to enjoy and understand it easily. Indian citizens bid a grand farewell to Lord Ganesha as the 10-day Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations culminated on Tuesday. The highlight of the Visarjan this year was the colourful processions, which included DJs playing bhajans, drum and dhol beats, and groups of dancers accompanied by a large number of devotees. A quick break ahead, but after the break, Nepal Mountaineering Association requests the government to open 57 more peaks for climbers. India lifts Asian Hockey Championship trophy for a record 5th time.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. The Embassy of India in Bahrain celebrated Hindi Day, drawing over 200 members of the local Indian community. Ambassador Vinod K. Jacob highlighted the significance of the Hindi language and culture. A series of poems and plays underscored the importance of one's mother tongue in everyday life. The performances not only entertained but also reinforced the cultural ties binding the Indian diaspora in Bahrain. This annual observance serves to promote Hindi language awareness and celebrate India's linguistic diversity on the international stage. Nepal Mountaineering Association has requested its government to open 57 more peaks for climbers at the 34th Annual General Meeting of the Nepal Mountaineering Association in Kathmandu on Tuesday. There are more than 2,000 mountain peaks in Nepal, with 8 mountains which are 8,000 meters high. Out of the total high mountains, only 405 are open for climbers. On the issue of increased air accidents in Nepal, the Minister for Tourism, Culture and Civil Aviation, Badri Prasad Pandey, said that the government will take all measures to improve safety and enhance credibility of the aviation sector. The increased number of air accidents has forced the government to take action to secure air travel, as tourism is the main source of building up the economy and is a job creator. In Nepal, devotees gathered at Basantpur Darbar Square to celebrate the grand festival of Indra Jatra in the capital city, Kathmandu. The cultural and historical event saw President Ramchandra Paudel arriving at Hanuman Dhoka to take part in the festivities. In his address, the president emphasized on the significance of Indra Jatra, noting that the festival is tribute to God Indra for a bountiful harvest, symbolizing the connection between humans and nature. He further highlighted the importance of such traditional festivals in preserving ancient civilizations. The festival, which will run until September 21st, is celebrated to honor Indra, the god of rains and good harvest, and the living goddess Kumari. The celebrations include a chariot procession of Lord Ganesha and Bhairav across the city. All right, from here we now turn focus to sports. In the Chess Olympiad 2024, India dominate the open and women's sections after 6 rounds in Budapest. Today, round 7 matches will be played in Budapest. Another 5 rounds remain, but India is well placed to score a double and even to improve upon the bronze medal it won in both sections of the previous edition of the Olympiad. Indian men's and women's team go into round 7 of the 45th FIDE Chess Olympiad with sole lead. In round 6, it was Arjun Erigaisi who once again played the role of the men's team. After D. Gukesh and Anand Pragananda drew on the top 2 boards with Richard Rappert and Peter Lecco respectively, India needed a win on the 3rd board. Arjun duly gave his team that. India on the only team to have won all the matches in the women's 45th FIDE Chess Olympiad lead after Divya Deshmukh scored on board 3 to defeat Armenia. That proved the most valuable point of round 6 for her team. Without her win, India would not have won the match. Defending champions India secured a hard-fought 1-0 victory over hosts China to claim their 5th Asian Champions Trophy hockey title in Ulaanbaatar. The Paris Olympic bronze medalists faced a daunting task as they failed to break the Chinese defense in the first 3 quarters. Eventually, Jagrat Singh broke the stalemate, scoring a field goal to take the title.
India's men's hockey team clinched a record-extending 5th Asian Champions Trophy title after they edged past China 1-0 in the final. Defending champions India stamped their authority on the tournament. They not only remained unbeaten but also reaffirmed their status as the foremost hockey nation of the continent. The men in blue faced a tough contest as they struggled to break through China's strong defence for the first 3 quarters. In the 4th quarter, Jugraj Singh broke the deadlock with a superb strike. Skipper Harmanpreet Singh breached the Chinese defence from the right, passed the ball to Jugraj and he netted the ball. India had an exemplary run in the tournament. They defeated China 3-0, beat Japan 5-1, thrashed Malaysia 8-1, outclassed South Korea 3-1, overcame Pakistan 2-1, thumped South Korea 4-1 in the semis and edged past China 1-0 in the final. Hockey India congratulated the Indian team and posted on X, "Congratulations to the Indian men's hockey team on clinching their record-breaking 5th Asian Champions Trophy title." With a hard-fought 1-0 victory over China, India have not only retained their crown from 2023 but also solidified their position as the most successful team in the tournament's history. This back-to-back triumph echoes their golden run from 2016 to 2018, showcasing India's consistent dominance in Asian hockey. India played its 6th Asian Champions Trophy hockey final, while China made their maiden appearance in the final. India are the most successful team in the competition with 5 wins. India secured titles in 2011, 2016, 2018, shared with Pakistan, 2023 and now 2024. This trophy marks the end of highly successful 2024 for the Indian hockey team, which was obviously highlighted by the bronze medal at the Paris Olympics. Sports Desk, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the men's hockey team for winning the Asian Champions Trophy 2024. Prime Minister Modi praised their performance and commitment, saying that the team has made the country proud. The Prime Minister posted on X, and I quote him, "Congratulations to the incredible Indian men's hockey team for winning the Asian Men's Hockey Champions Trophy 2024. Their remarkable performance, unwavering spirit and dedication have made the nation proud." All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app, and you can download the respective QR codes on your screens now. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.